We are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, part of the Lineups Podcast Network at lineups.com, the Big Heads Media Network at bigheadsmedia.com-radio. Go to our website, the New York Knicks Podcast.com/ticket club and use code NYKP to get $20 off an annual membership for the lowest ticket prices out there.
Holy shit.
And
Sorry, go on.
Our newest sponsor, no, I'm just kidding.
Do you know that intro goes on so long the Knicks could lose 2 games during that intro?
They just blew a 20-point lead during that intro. This is episode 493. I am Jay. Mark, how you doing?
Fine. The Knicks are currently, it is 2:58 to go in the game. They are down by 3 points to Cleveland because we got to keep Marcus Morris because we are almost as good as Cleveland.
Got to keep the vets who have led us to the third worst record in the NBA.
Tied for fourth, actually fourth worst record.
Oh, well,
like, don't insult the team.
That's
record.
why they're holding on to Morris now, because they're moving up in the standings.
Yeah, exactly. We are currently the 4th seed. Cleveland's the 2nd seed, and we are playing it out for the tank championships. Golden State, is it unfair that Golden State's just they have 11 wins? They seem locked on these 11 wins. They have
they're up by 11 right now against the Wiz.
Yes.
With 6 minutes left.
Oh, that would be huge. That'd be huge to the tank standings.
Mm-hmm. So we're doing this show less than 3 days before the trade deadline, and I am not going to sleep until this trade deadline's over. There are so many rumors going around right now.
Knicks are up by 2.
Oh,
Knicks
good.
are up 3. We might beat Cleveland to ruin our. Is it too early to say the care whether? Is it too early to root for losses? Because the wins aren't helping right now.
No, I mean at this point, we're 50 games into the season, and they have 14 wins. It's
just, everything seems so hopeless and pointless right now that I don't know what the point of playing good games right now when you're fighting for you need young talent to get through the draft. Yeah,
no, at this point, I'm rooting for the draft because they're 7.5 games out of the playoffs with 30 to go, and they'd have to leapfrog 5 teams. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So let's go get to the trade rumors in a second. But they played a couple games this week. They lost to Charlotte in a close one. Was that the Charlotte game? Was the Marcus Morris called off 3-pointer?
He what?
Remember Marcus Morris got a 3-pointer, then they called it a foul?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that, and that was kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Knicks still lost the game. Then they got their asses handed to them by Memphis, and we all got to see how good the Knicks could have been if they simply had gotten one higher pick in the draft, Ja Morant.
I mean,
what'd you think of Ja?
Ja is really, really good. He's not Doncic, but he's exactly what the Knicks need. He's really good. Do you think plus minus, you put a lot into plus minus? It depends on the sample size. I mean, it's also hard when you're on just a complete trash team. I mean, it says a little bit if you have a good plus minus, but if you're playing with 4 other garbage players, you're probably
okay. So I just wanted to point out Ja's plus minus from his game against the Knicks. Mm-hmm. What do you think his plus minus was? You're going to throw it out. Assuming you don't actually know this already.
24.
If he had a plus 24, would you say that was a pretty dominant performance?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he was a plus 42.
Oh, my God.
That's shocking.
And what was the final score?
They lost by 21 points.
So he had 40 plus 42 in a 21-point game.
Yes.
Okay, that's insane.
That is absolutely unbelievable. He played 27 minutes, and those 27 minutes, they were 42 points better than the Knicks.
Yeah, I'd say that says something.
I mean, history hates the Knicks. I mean, we were one off from Steph Curry, not the Morant, Steph Curry, but like we just keep being one off from players that would really change everything.
It's
By the
happened
way,
multiple times, yeah.
multiple times. By the way, Zion looks awesome also. But he'll be injured, so I'm not as upset about Zion because I really think his injuries will be a big issue for him. But he looks goddamn awesome.
He does. He looks really good, but I feel the same way. I'd be so worried about his injury history. I'd feel more comfortable with Ja. Zion has a higher ceiling. Ja, I'd be less nervous.
I mean, it's like number one in the draft. If he could stay healthy, surefire Hall of Famer, looks game changer, looks amazing.
Mhm.
Number two in the draft, fantastic point guard, looks like one of the guys that will be the future at the position, plus 42 against us. Number three in the draft, hopefully he'll be a starter one day.
Story of the Knicks.
Story of the I like RJ. It's just anyway, they ended the week before today's game by beating Indiana. Indiana is a pretty good basketball team. They even had Oladipo back. How did you feel about the victory?
Poorly.
Why, Jay?
At this point, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like these wins are now at this point. I was rooting for them to win through like 45 games, but then at that point, I was like, now I just want a good draft pick.
It was the least satisfying win ever. Like, I mean, like on the one hand, you're like, well, the Knicks played really good defense against Indiana, or maybe Indiana just shot poorly, and we're just like, they missed a lot of shots. I don't know if it was the Knicks defense or they just missed a lot of shots. I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
They just, I mean, Oladipo was 2 for 14. If Oladipo plays like halfway like he used to play, they crush the Knicks.
Absolutely. He's definitely working his way back, which is great because he's on my fantasy team. So
you must love that 2 for 14.
I mean, he's 4 for 16 today, and he was something like 4 for 16 his first game back. So it's been really good.
Yeah. I finally get this All-Star back, and
I'm glad I waited almost 50 games to get him back for that.
Knicks are up by 1 point with 45 seconds to go. Okay, so there are lots of, I don't know where the hell this team is going, and it would be a lot more satisfying these wins if you felt like the young players are doing anything, as opposed to all these guys that are here for one year deals are doing stuff.
Well, that's the thing. They're starting all guys who aren't going to be part of the future. They're barely playing any of the other guys. I mean, I guess the argument is
a win's a win.
Guys, well, no, not a win because they're not winning. But I guess the argument is the younger guys haven't earned their minutes.
Which is a fair argument. It's not an unfair argument. It's just that I don't know where this team is going.
Well, it's a placeholder team. Which okay,
for what? What do you holding your place for? Like, is there as if anything's going in between there?
We have to go into the trade rumors now because.
Oh, I'm just saying. But let's get the trade rumors 1 second. I just want to say, last year it was let's play a lot of the young guys and let's like develop a team. Then they were like, let's scrap that plan. This year they were like, last offseason they're like, let's try to be the Nets. Let's be a good team. Then all the guys will sign here. Like they're changing plans every 5 freaking seconds, and I have no idea what they're doing. Let's go to the rumors.
So, what is your feelings on ruining the cap space for 2021?
Yeah, if it means getting draft picks, I am totally fine with ruining it. I think the cap space is our best asset in the trade deadline.
Okay, so what if instead of draft picks, it was Terry Rozier?
I didn't even hear this rumor. I'm surprised. So I am surprised Charlotte is ready to move on from Terry Rozier.
It's a good sign, right?
I don't think it's a bad idea. How big is his contract?
He makes $19 million next year and $18 million the year after.
I mean, it doesn't say a lot that. Well, it's also the kind of feeling if a player will be traded to the Knicks, we almost feel like, do we really want him if the other team doesn't want him? We're such a crap organization. So Rozier is not a great shooter, but his field goal percentage this year is about 42%, which is not great. But his three-point shooting is like almost 40%. So that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I always like Rozier. Every time I watch him, I like him. I don't have a problem with getting Rozier, I guess. What is the trade that's being proposed? Is there any proposal or?
The names that have been thrown about are Smith Jr., and Randall and Rozier and Monk.
Oh. Sure. What do you think?
I think once again the Knicks would be giving up the better player in a trade.
Knicks are going to overtime, by the way. 127, 127 going to overtime. Well, do you think they're giving up, do you think Randall's part of the future?
I don't know yet.
I mean, do we have to keep Randall?
I don't think you have to keep Randall, but I don't know if you want Rozier.
Why not? Do we have another? As long as the Knicks are open to still drafting a point guard, I wouldn't mind Rozier and whoever they draft as being our 2 point guards.
I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about Rozier.
Well, clearly, we need an upgrade at point guard. Point guards. Apparently the Knicks, the complete freaking morons we have running this team, they want an upgrade at point guard, which is a logical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this. Do you think the Knicks should try to go with their upgraded point guard in the trade deadline, or should they be concentrating on doing that in the offseason, like through the draft and whoever they sign in the free agency?
However possible without doing something stupid. And I'm not sure that this would not be something stupid.
Well, DSJ, I mean, a lot of these guys are guys that you would. Is it a big deal if we lose Dennis Smith? Is it a big deal if we lose Randall?
No, but now you're losing your cap space for a guy that might not be that good.
The cap space is kind of worthless. Outside of trading it for draft picks, no one's signing here. Like we might as well have our team might as well be located in Siberia. It's not an attractive destination for free agents.
No, but
cap flexibility does not matter to have a good team.
You have the potential to sign a free agent.
No one's signing here.
You're going to give it up for Rozier.
Well, we have a lot more money than just $20 million. There's a lot more money that's going to come off the books. So, you can still have money for a max player that's not going to sign here.
So you're.
I'm fine also if Cleveland calls up and says, "Hey, we'll give you a first round pick if you take Kevin Love." I'm fine with that also.
Okay.
So I'm fine with giving up. So as far as Rozier, is Rozier better than Elfrid Payton? I think the answer is yes in this. He's a better 3-point shooter. I think he's probably a better defender. I don't know if he's a better distributor, but
I don't think he is. I mean, he's averaging 4 assists a game.
I have not watched enough of Rozier. Every time I watch him, he looks pretty good. Maybe I mostly watch him against the Knicks, so everyone looks pretty good against the Knicks. He's a better scorer than Payton.
Okay, next.
Okay, so as far as the point guards, so there are point guards that are out here that are who are the rumors of which point guards are the rumors? It's Rozier, it's Dennis Schroeder, and D'Lo, right? Yeah. Anyone else linked to the Knicks?
No.
So of those 3, how do you, if you had to rank them, forgetting who we have to give up?
I would say Schroeder.
Okay. Because of his contract but Schroeder's a worse defender
than who? Rozier?
Yeah, he's a worse defender than Rozier. Sorry. I blanked on that for a second. Rozier's a better defender. As far as my understanding, he's a better defender than I thought Schroeder can't play defense.
Yeah, I just feel like he can run an offense better than the other 2 guys.
I mean, Atlanta didn't think so.
Mm-hmm.
But Atlanta, I mean,
I would say then Rozier and then D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell's contract just looks pretty bad.
It's insane. I mean, $30 million a year.
Are we using our contract for? What are we using the cap space for? I know for all this time we were trying to clear cap space, but do you think anyone really good is signing here? Any A-list free agent, no matter what we do, are they going to sign here in the next 4 years?
Don't think that necessarily means you have to sign a terrible contract.
No, but you could D'Lo could make the team a lot better.
Can he? The Warriors have 11 wins, 50 games into the season.
That's not many wins. By the way, I saw it, and I didn't even realize this. Towns, who we would salivate over, or at least fans would salivate over, has not won a game since before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. The Timberwolves have won games, but Towns was out for those.
Yeah.
He's
missed
lost,
some games, but
14 straight games or something like that.
It would be fair to say Towns and D'Lo are not that helpful for their teams winning games.
Well, here's what people were talking about. Apparently, Towns, D'Lo, and Booker want to all play together, which would make the worst defensive team of all time.
We want to team up to have to play no defense. At least
Can
he
you
would fit in that
imagine
team because you wouldn't need his offense anymore.
that'll be the day the Knicks finally get their big three, and it'll be 3 guys who play 0 defense.
Holy crap, that'd be hilarious. It's like the Heat's big three. Like it's like big three light.
Yeah,
Shittier, like
it's like generic brand big three.
generic brand big three. They're like, we want to play together. And everyone else teams are like, no, that's cool. We could go play in the park somewhere together.
We don't come in a box. We come in a plastic bag on the bottom shelf.
Okay, so I guess let me ask you, as far as the players they can give up,
Mm-hmm.
do you really have an issue giving up like Randall or Morris or any of the guys they signed in the offseason?
No, I don't.
Like I would think you don't want Randall and Morris paired together anymore. You want to move one of them, but I don't have I don't really have a problem moving 2 of them. What's it mean if we move 2 of them? Like are the Knicks worse?
No, it just depends what. I don't know. Well, it depends what they're going to give up.
I mean, in theory, the team next year, you would. I mean, you don't want to give up draft picks. In theory, you're going to have your starting lineup next year will be RJ, some guy we draft. That's really it right now. That's what the lineup looks like next year, and a point guard if that's not the guy we draft. Maybe they bring back. The team is so. There's such a lack of talent on this team. It's hard to say. I know people are like, let Knox play. And fine, let him play, but he's terrible.
It's pretty bad. He's pretty bad.
Like, right now, like, Dennis Smith is playing, and you're like, oh, the Knicks are showcasing Dennis Smith. What will they be doing after the season's over? I'm sorry, after the trade deadline. They're going to be like, well, now they're showcasing them for the summer?
Now we're going to showcase him through the rest of his contract?
Yeah. I just think it has to be something to say, like, 30 different coaches have coached the Knicks while Ntilikina's been here, and no one's thought he's been that good. And so far, a couple of the coaches have seen Knox. No one thought he's been that good. Like, I have no idea. I mean, the Knicks. It's also the Knicks. Go through the rumors, Jay. I'm so upset about this team right now. I just think they're so directionless, and whatever they're going to do at the deadline is going to be insanely stupid. But half of Knicks Twitter will be like, this makes total sense. I totally makes sense to go trade 2 draft picks to get Kevin Love. Makes total sense. Knicks are down. Kevin Love actually just hit a shot. Knicks are down by 1 point with 1 minute to go in the overtime. Cool. You're fighting hard against Cleveland because this is the team that's as good as you are. And yet the Knicks are like, no, we can get better. We can go all in and get to the 11th seed. What are the other rumors, Jay?
So, by the way, Portis and Ntilikina have come up in the trade talks with D'Angelo Russell.
Sure. I mean, do you have any issue trading Ntilikina right now?
Do you think if Ntilikina had the game that Elfrid Payton had tonight, that fans would immediately want his jersey hung from the rafters?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Payton right now has 14 assists and 17 points. If Ntilikina did
11
that,
rebounds.
Everyone would be like, he's finally broken through. He is a Hall of Famer. Let's retire his jersey right now.
In the meantime, same fans are like, Payton's trash.
Absolutely. No matter what Payton does, he's trash. Whatever Ntilikina does, he's unbelievable. People will look at this and go, Payton's a +0 tonight, but Ntilikina's a +9. That means Ntilikina should have been playing more. Ntilikina outplayed Payton tonight.
So the Knicks have a lot of big men on the team.
They have a lot. So certain guys should not be here after the deadline. I don't care. Like DSJ should not be here after the deadline.
So
some teams have called about him. What is the response to the Knicks on the phone call? Like you're asking about DSJ. What will you give us? If you're not giving us just dead salary cap for him, we're done. We're down. Give me a 2nd round pick from 2037. We're good.
I agree.
I like just get whatever 2nd round pick. DSJ is just worth a 2nd round pick. Get whatever 2nd round pick you can get, and we're good. I don't understand. And I don't understand. By the way, Knicks are up by 1. They're gonna beat Cleveland tonight, and yay, we're having a 2-game winning streak. This is so amazing. Mike Miller's just extending for 1,000 years, so we can fire him and have 900 years left on his contract.
It's really good for the draft.
I just don't even know. And the draft also does not matter because the tanking, like the whole new system, makes it hard to tank. And so, I mean, Memphis moved from number 9 to 2, so maybe the Knicks can move from 9 to 2 also.
So the Houston Rockets said they're looking to, because their new thing, you saw that they went an entire game without playing a guy taller than 6'6".
Yeah. But also, didn't they replace Capella with the other guy, Isaiah? What's his name? Hardestein.
Yeah, but he's out of the rotation now too. It's only short guys.
Okay. Well, if you're Houston, you got to experiment.
Yeah.
Is that really going to work in the playoffs?
No.
Okay.
So they're looking to move to Capella, and they said they want to move him to an Eastern Conference team. So the Knicks are targeting John Henson
I'm sorry, what?
from Cleveland. John Henson.
The Knicks are targeting John Henson?
Yeah.
What the hell does that have to do with Clint Capella?
I was just throwing you off the scent.
Okay. John. What?
Yeah, the guy who did nothing in Milwaukee and then did nothing in Cleveland.
He's currently doing nothing in Cleveland. What?
You got to get Mark. The East is big, man.
Are you making up these rumors, or these are real?
The Knicks have asked about him. It's exploratory, I guess, but the Knicks have asked.
Do you think the Mills and Perry are just on a bender, calling just calling people like, well, how about this player? Okay, fine, I'll give you whatever. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm Steve Mills.
I have no idea what's going on. I really don't.
It is unbelievable. Like Morris has to go, but yet apparently, but Morris has to go not because he's a bad player. He just hit a 2 and he might win us this game in overtime. But like, there's no point in keeping him. I mean, not no point, but like he can walk this offseason. If you want him next year, you can always sign him in the free agency. Why would you not trade Morris? And apparently, like, teams are now scared away because they think Morris and the Knicks have strong mutual interest in like having a long-term deal. So teams don't want to give a lot for Morris. I find the whole thing unfathomable.
It is. The whole thing is messed up.
I think I'm really at the lowest moment I have with like this. It's like this is the worst year in Knicks history. At least last year, there was some direction. There was some hope. Like the first 17-win season, you were like, we got number 4 pick in the draft, and it was like we were tearing everything down to rebuild, so that there was some hope. Mm-hmm. Last year, 17-win season, you were like, well, we're playing the young guys, and we're tanking for the draft, so there's some hope. This is the worst season in Knicks franchise history currently because it is directionless, pointless. The Knicks are like, you know how the Hawks for all those years were like, well, we're a 6 and 7 seed, and like we're gonna always be a first run out in the playoffs, but this is where we're kind of stuck. The Knicks are stuck at the 13th seed, and they're like, we love this home. Maybe we'll get to the 12th seed, so we're gonna fight for this.
We're gonna lock this in.
We're gonna lock in the 12th or 13th seed every year. Like the team next year will be atrocious.
It's gonna be pretty much the same team, I think. I can't see these trades going through.
Even if some of these trades go through, like certain names will change. Like Bobby Portis will change to someone else, some other stupid reclamation project that won't work out. Who else? Like Peyton won't be here, but some other castaway point guard will be here. Like there'll be a lot of just dumb moves that like will be like, well, we protect their cap space for guys that'll just have 1 year here and they'll go somewhere else because we're developing nothing here.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not developing the young guys. I don't even know if the young guys are any good, to be honest. I know we're gonna get like 13 angry emails about Ntilikina. I don't know if he's that good. First of all, I don't think he's a point guard.
I mean, we go through this every show. Ntilikina sucks. I mean, he's fine. I did a Twitter poll. We got like 80 people voted, so there was a huge turnout. But like I had where do you think he's gonna be in 5 years? All-star, starter, fringe player / backup or fringe or out of the NBA. Fringe out of the NBA and backup were like 80% of the voters. No one thinks he's a starter in the NBA anymore. Ntilikina voted and said, I'm probably going to be out of the NBA. I mean, he's fine. Like, it's just the Knicks, Knox and Ntilikina are basically busts. If you drafted Ntilikina with the 55th pick in the draft, you would have said, we got a fine addition to our team. You draft him 8th, you're like, I guess this was a miss.
Yeah.
The Knicks have to treat it that way also. Keep him on the roster, but like, let's not pretend this guy's going to develop anymore. Let's not, which is kind of what they're doing. They're just saying like, if he's going to break through at this point, like let him earn his minutes because we don't really believe this is happening. Knicks beat Cleveland, by the way. It's 7.6 seconds to go, but it's over, and yay, 15th victory. Oh man, this is wonderful. Under
They now move to within 7 games of the 8th seed.
And the best part, yeah, that's it. Mills and Perry are going to look at this and go, 2-game winning streak. Let's go for the goddamn title.
This is the worst time for tied for the longest winning streak of the season, right?
Have they not won 3 games in a row this year? I'm sure they haven't.
I mean, could they have timed it worse? I mean, Mills and Perry are going to be like, oh yeah, we're going places. They're finally clicking.
It's like you look at the team. You have Randall put up 20 points tonight, and Randall, like, what do you guys say of Randall? He's talented offensively. He has some boneheaded plays. His defense is mediocre. I guess he's a part of an okay, like he's part a team that could get to the 7th seed. I don't know what that does for you. Morris is 31. You're probably at peak Morris right now. I don't think he's going to get better at this point. By the way, do you think he's that much better than his brother? Because they're saying like Markieff Morris is like he's worth just a 2nd round pick. Because Detroit might move him.
I mean, maybe we can just trade one for a 1st round and then trade away a 2nd round to get the other one.
Maybe the Knicks will try to get the other. Yeah, maybe the Knicks will trade like a 2nd round pick to get the other Morris, and maybe they'll pair up Morris twins.
Sure. The Knicks did win 3 games in a row in late December.
For 3, the tie, nothing tied the game. Cleveland lost. It's just such a stupid team. I like, yay, you won a game. Like, it's just hard to like get into when the season's been over for weeks. It's hard to care about wins that like you're like, oh, this will be we'll get the 8th seed in the draft, and we'll get a bad player again. We'll be stuck in mediocrity and hope next season now we're waiting next year for them to like suck again. I understand guys that are really good go later in the draft. Shea Gilgeous, whatever, Jonathan Mitchell. But Knicks don't draft those guys either. Knicks just go for these guys. They're like, oh, he's a project. If he works out, it'll be great. And then the guy never works out.
I know people argue that you can get really good players later in the draft, which is true. But you have a much, much better chance of getting a really good player with a top 5 pick.
It's also like, yeah, you can get a good player late in the draft if you know what you're doing with drafting. You know what you're doing with playing the player development. Do you think the Knicks know what they're doing with any of these things?
That's also the problem. They don't know
like,
how to draft. They don't know how to develop. They don't know how to make trades. They don't know how to construct a roster.
Every day I hear about another 2nd round pick from some team that like has been in the league for a year and a half who puts up 30 points because like these 2nd round players can actually play and the Knicks never get them.
You know who I added to my fantasy team this week? Shake Milton.
Who's that?
He is a 2nd round pick that had 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists the other day. He's on Philly.
They know what they're doing. I mean, look at the last, like, at some point last year, we were like, look at our core. We drafted this year, we got Knox, Mitch, Trier, and the year before we got Dot and Ntilikina. Now look at that core now. You have Ntilikina, who's at best a solid backup, hopefully. Dotson is playing, like, he's been okay. Dotson's been okay lately, but I think this is his last year on the contract. The Knicks never going to extend him. Then you have, or maybe they will, who knows. Trier is the Knicks don't even let play anymore. Knox shouldn't be let, like, if Knox wasn't a 1st round pick, would not be allowed to play anymore. And then you have Mitch, Mitch has been fine, but the Knicks don't think Mitch is good enough to play more than like 20 minutes a game, even when he doesn't get into foul trouble.
Yeah.
I like Mitch. I don't know why. He played 15 minutes tonight against Cleveland. Why?
I don't understand a lot of the things coach is doing. Even like Gibson that day, he was like 8 for 8. He didn't play almost the whole second half of the game. And it's like, if a guy's shooting 100%, like, keep him in.
That's why I'm like, Mills can go. I mean, Miller can go. I don't know what the hell he's doing. He clearly doesn't believe in Mitchell Robinson. So, or he's like Mitchell. I don't know what he thinks about Mitchell Robinson. I don't understand what this team thinks about anything. I guess from Miller, he was told, you're going to be judged solely on wins. So do whatever you can to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what happens. Yeah.
And so he's like looking at his team, trying to find how he could win games. And he's like, well, these young guys don't help me win games.
It's true. We have a front office who knows that the owner's mad. So they're trying to do everything they can to save their job. And part of saving their job is to have the coach get as many wins as possible. None of that leads to development. But you know what this also leads to? Bad trades, win now trades.
We are in a cycle where we will not win 30 games for how many years? Like, when's the next time Knicks will win more than 30 games? 5 years from now?
I have no idea.
Like,
I have no
they're
idea.
such a poorly developed, poorly thought out team. How Mills can keep his job is insane to me.
It's gross negligence. It really
I
is.
Dolan, like, how does Dolan not like we need Dolan to step in again? Just Dolan, like, this is a horrendous. If you're not going to sell the team, get rid of everyone and bring in someone that has a clue. Jay had an argument with someone on Twitter about that. Like Jay was saying, like, even he could do a better job running this team than Mills has. And I would say the other guy was like, you know what, like, you're not, like, I don't know what you do for a living, but you're not more qualified to run the Knicks than Steve Mills is. And I would say there is no way with Jay. Neither of us know that much about basketball. If you listen to our show, we're morons. But there's no way Jay could do a worse possible job than Mills has.
Well, first of all, he was saying I don't have the qualifications that Mills does. Mills was a finance guy.
Yeah.
And Dolan just put him into the president job. Like, I'm a finance guy. So right there, I have the same. I don't even think he has a CPA. So I'm more qualified than him.
I would say the Knicks could find some guy laying on the street outside of MSG, because there's lots of people that are laying on the street outside of MSG who are homeless, and put him in the role, and it couldn't be that much worse than Mills has been the last couple of years.
Well, I can whiff on top 10 draft picks and then make terrible trades and do some really bad free agency signings. I could do that.
Yeah, Jay could get the draft picks wrong also. Jay could not sign big time free agents also. Jay, if you were like, like, the Knicks won 17 games this last year, and they may win 22 games this year. Like, a monkey throwing darts at a board could come up with those many wins.
So the Knicks' 3 worst seasons ever have all been under Mills. So, like, I could do better.
I mean, like, Philly was tanking, and at least you were like, okay, they have a plan with this tanking.
And now they haven't beaten Simmons.
Yeah, the Knicks are just like, we're tanking, not on purpose, with no plan. Our only plan is to slam this car we're driving into a wall.
That's the insane part. The Knicks have had some of the worst seasons in franchise history, and they're trying to win every year. They're not tanking.
No, the only time they tried to lose was the second half of the first season under Phil, when he really traded everyone away and was like, let's just go for the tank. That was really a roster of what the hell's on the court right now.
But even then, that was only like a half season. They were trying to win through like 50 games of the season.
Until Melo like took off the second half of the season off. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Like, since then, they've been trying to win games and yet ending up with like people are like, oh, Fizdale hurt himself last year by like he had to go with the tank. Last year, the Knicks were trying to win games. I do not believe the Knicks were like went all in on the tank. I mean, They play a lot of the young guys.
No, they were trying to win games.
They were trying to win games by playing the young guy. They weren't playing. I mean, I guess that qualifies as tanking. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you played Knox 30 minutes a night, that qualifies as tanking.
I mean, that's just because that's the roster they had. It's not like.
If you look at this team, if they had just been better on one of these draft picks, if they were better on either the Ntilikina or the Knox draft pick, this team looks a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have so few young players that are good. You have R.J. Barrett and Mitch, and the team doesn't seem convinced Mitch is even a starter.
And we don't know what Barrett is yet either.
Yeah. But at least the team seems convinced that Barrett's a starter, so they play him starter minutes.
Yeah.
They're not convinced about anyone else in this team.
No. Well, I mean, Knox and Frank are young, and no NBA players ever produced when they were young.
It is impossible to produce under the age of 28.
Yeah, it's never happened before in the history. That no other team has guys who come into the league and produce.
So what are the other rumors? Who else are we going on? Schroeder, D'Lo. What would you give? Would you give up anything for D'Lo, or you're just scared from by his contract? Like, I don't understand why you're so protective of the cap space.
I'm not protective of the cap space. I'm fine getting rid of the cap space if it's worth it. Like, what does D'Angelo Russell bring you?
Here is the Knicks offseason with the cap space you love. Hi, this is Steve Mills. I've got cap space. Are you a good NBA player? Click. Okay. Hi, I'm Steve Mills. I've got cap. Click. Hi, I'm Steve Mills. Click.
No, I'm not
Hi, are you
protective
the
of the.
75th ranked free agent? And you, okay, I'll give you $30 million a year. Let's do it. 1 year.
Yeah, that's
Team option for second year.
I'm not against getting rid of the cap space, but I am against paying 1/3 of the entire roster salary for a guy who hasn't proven he can do anything.
I'm not that I'm all in on D'Lo because I think his defense is atrocious.
I mean,
and
$30 million a year. That's.
it does seem kind
Wouldn't
of
you
like
rather
an
get like two $15 million players? Like
So if it was $20 million a year, would you be fine with it?
I would.
You'd be
I would.
kind of okay.
I would be much closer to being okay with it.
Okay. Now, just pretend it's $20 million. Then pretend the other $10 million is used for like Wayne Ellington, or just some other dumb way they're going to use the money anyway. They weren't going to spend the money like they were basically going to take the other $10 million, go to the candy store, and go, "What can we get?"
This is, I don't know.
They are not good at using this. Like, you're pretending the team is going to be good. I'm saying realistically, the team is not going to be good. So maybe you add D'Lo plus RJ plus the draft pick plus Mitch. Maybe there's something. I don't know. I have no idea the path forward. I don't even know what the path forward is here. I mean, path forward is getting better at drafting, I guess. Like, that's the first thing you need to do is figure out how to draft players.
Yeah.
And position yourself to draft players. Like you should figure out how to scout and then get more draft picks. Right now, do we have one of the Dallas picks this year?
We should probably know this off the top of our head, right?
I assume you know everything, Jay.
I don't think so.
I think it's 2021 and 23.
That's what I think, yeah.
Okay, so we have one pick in the first round and one pick in the second round. We could do better than that. Like, there's no reason you wouldn't say Morris, and I understand Morris is playing very well. I don't understand what Morris does for us. Like, he's a solid player to add to a good team already. It's also, people are like, oh, you know what? Having him around, he provides New York toughness. He makes the team better. Is he good for the young players? Young players suck with him on the team.
I think just the whole team sucks. I mean, he's.
We forgot to talk about the whole Morris thing this week. The embarrassment in Memphis.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God, I almost forgot that. So for those of you who don't remember, Memphis completely and utterly embarrassed the Knicks in the game, and then with the last second, with like 30 seconds on the clock, the Knicks had already given up. They just threw the ball inbounds, and Jay Crowder steals the ball and for some reason goes to shoot a three. And so when he does that, Alfred Payton pushes him and gets suspended for a game for doing that. And they have a whole little melee. What do you think of that whole incident?
I thought it was ridiculous. First of all, there's 50 seconds left. And I get you're not supposed to run up the score. But on the other hand, you're supposed to try. And the Knicks just thought that everyone was just going to stand there for the final minute. And so
it was a little weird. If Jay Crowder just stolen the ball and run the clock out, it would have been like, you're like, okay, fine. It's the fact he went to the three. You're like, what the hell are you doing?
I get it, but he was in a shooting slump, and I'm thinking, if you're going to give him 5 feet of space, I'm going to take the shot.
I think part of it also is Crowder was like him and like Morris. They were talking shit the whole game, and I think Crowder was just annoyed at the Knicks.
He probably was, and I don't know, pushing a guy while he's in midair. That's
the guy could get really injured. Like
yeah.
that was ridiculous. Like Payton, I'm surprised he only got suspended for one game. I guess one game is fine, but like, I thought it was just a bitch ass thing to be like, hey, I'm upset for this other guy for trying.
Right, and it's like, oh, I got to not let him disrespect the game. I'm like, you guys just disrespected the game for 47 minutes.
Your whole season, this decade has been disrespect to the NBA.
I don't know. I know people are going to get mad that we're defending Crowder on this, but I just thought you guys gave up. You weren't even trying to cover him, and you just at least stand next to him. He probably wouldn't have taken the shot if you were within 5 feet of him.
You know, I saw that and I was like, I would swap Jay Crowder for Alfred Payton right now. I guess the guy that cares, anyone that cares more to play the whole game. I mean, not that Alfred Payton's been that bad. I don't know. This whole team is. I said this on Twitter. I was like, I kind of feel like I want to be Alfred Payton there, and Jay Crowder is the Knicks the organization. I kind of want to just throw them to the floor as they're doing something stupid like shooting with like the game being over already.
Right.
Yeah. This is the organization, and then I guess Marcus Morris in the locker room said that Jay Crowder had girlish woman-like tendencies.
Yeah. Which
is all. What do you think of that whole thing?
that didn't go over very well either.
No, and he also meant to say some much worse gay slur, but he'd like now I can say woman tendencies instead.
I think he wanted to say bitch and then just said female like.
Yeah, he totally wanted to. I thought he wanted to say like fag or something like that. That's what I really thought he wanted to say, and he was like, I can't correct myself. This is the more PC way of saying it, woman like.
And then he just got trashed.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, this is the culture builder.
Yeah, he's immediately in apology mode.
I mean, I didn't care that much that he like. It just seemed the whole thing was like, why don't you guys just show it on the court, play well on the court, okay?
Yeah.
It's one thing if the Knicks were like 30, like the Knicks were like at 500, and this win was it was a game. If the Knicks weren't just such trash all season, I might take a Knicks side in this, but I hate this team so much. This is such a goddamn bad team.
I want everyone to email us, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com, and tell us why we should continue doing this podcast.
Tell us why the Knicks should continue to exist. So, like in soccer, my understanding is in like Europe or the UK or anywhere over there, they have leagues where like if you're not good, you get sent down to the lower league, and you have to play your way back up. You've heard of this?
Yeah.
Why don't they do this in the NBA? The Knicks should be forced to play the next year in the G League. And forget G League. The Knicks should be forced to play in your local YMCA and not get out of the YMCA until they win the goddamn YMCA title. Then go to junior college, then eventually back to the NBA.
They just won't be in the NBA again.
Or at least make them go to the G League. Make them beat the San Antonio Buzzkills or whatever the names of the teams are in the G League. Make them beat those teams.
So Jorge emails us.
Yeah.
And he writes, Sup, Jay and Mark, I started listening to the podcast the year we got Andrea and Bargnani, and you guys talked me into him. That must have been Mark.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk me into Steve Mills and Scott Perry?
Okay, so I probably was trying to talk myself into Bargs with the 3-point shooting, and I remember every time I watched Bargs, he played against the Knicks, so I was like, oh, he looks like a good player at least. Okay, so I will take the argument that the Knicks should keep Steve Mills, and Jay, you're going to take the argument they should get rid of him?
I don't even know how you're going to do this. Sure.
Okay. The Knicks they realize that to sign free agents like the Nets did, you have to make a big, good team, and they're on the way to being a good team. They got rid of the bad coach. They've won 11 wins under Mills, which is much better than they had been on the 4 wins under Fizz. If Fizz was not here the whole season, it was all Fizz's fault this season, they'd probably be a playoff team.
No, they're not.
Yeah, if Fizz wasn't here, if we had Mills from day one, this team probably would have about 23, 24 victories right now, and they'd be the 8th seed.
How? They'd have maybe 15.
No, they have 15 right now, Jay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say
Exactly.
Fizdale was 6 losses worse than Mills would have been. So they'd be at 21 wins. 21 wins currently gets them to I don't know, Jay. I don't have to look at the standings. I don't want to look this crap up.
21 and 30. You're saying they would be if they had Mills the whole time.
Yes, 21 and 30. They had Mills the whole time. So not Mills, Miller. So 21 wins gets them tied with Brooklyn for the 8th seed. Mm-hmm. And probably they would have won a game against Brooklyn, so Brooklyn would have a worse record. So they'd have the 8th seed themselves.
Cool. That's really good too. Getting
and they're playing that they're going in the right direction. 21, they did probably end the season with 35, 36 wins. The following year, they'll win 45, then 57, then 86, then 112 victories. Also, we finally found pieces of players to build around. Marcus Morris, he is better than Carmelo Anthony is right now. He's a player to build around. He's 31. Vince Carter played till he's 40. How old is Vince Carter? 42 years old. So Morris has another 11 years in the league at peak Morris. Randall was a top pick in the draft. There we go. We have a top 4 player, a top 4 pick in the draft with Randall. Taj Gibson's been to the playoffs before. Alfred Payton is young. He'll get better.
Do we have Facebook questions? I can't listen to this.
And we're finally going in the right direction, not playing young players that don't deserve to be on the court like Knox. Julian writes, so obvious. Getting rid of James Dolan would solve everything for the Knicks. This is an article by Paul Pierce. Or no, is it an article? No, sorry, it's not an article. It's just something that Paul Pierce said.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that. But
yeah,
we can't.
I don't know how he figured that out.
He's a genius. That's why he has that job he has now.
Tristan writes, I'm watching the Knicks-Pacers game, and is it just me, or has Smith Jr. forgotten how to finish at the ring? It's like he just throws up a prayer and wishes it in. And Boo Dizzle writes, it's not just you. I've also noticed that Knicks players like to miss shots all the time. I would say if DSJ is missing shots at the rim, it's just because he's been practicing what Knox taught him.
And Ntilikina.
There is no one worse in the NBA than finishing at the rim than Knox. I don't have to see any stats on this. I'm just telling you, hands down, Knox is the worst finisher at the rim. Do you disagree?
I don't know. There's a bunch of Knicks who can't finish at the rim.
No, everyone's better. Everyone else on the team is better than Knox. Knox throws I don't know what the hell he's even doing when he goes to the rim. Every once in a while he'll make a layup, and I'm like, let's just have a moment of silence to remember this time. What do you think of? By the way, the Knicks apparently teams have said the Knicks asking price on DSJ is too high.
Then apparently the Knicks asking price on everybody on the team has been too high.
Maybe it's a negotiation position. The Knicks think all these trades will happen at the last hour of the trade deadline.
See, if we didn't have the same front office as we had during all these other horrible trades, I'd say, oh, what a good negotiation strategy. I think they're just overrating all their players because they're stupid.
Last year, we couldn't. Was it last year the team had Cantor? Yeah, it was last year. We couldn't trade Cantor because everyone knew the Knicks were going to cut Cantor after the deadline. So it's why are we going to trade for Cantor when he's going to be a free agent next week? So maybe the Knicks are trying to make it seem like they're going to try to keep these guys. Maybe the whole Morris stuff is just to throw teams off. That would make some sense at least.
It would make sense, but I don't think anything ever makes sense with this team, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Do you want to do Smith Jr. negotiations?
Sure.
Jay, you call a team.
All right. Hey, Hornets.
Oh yeah. Hey, what's going on?
We got a trade for you.
Steve Mills. Oh man, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
We'll give you the worst contract on our team for Dennis Smith.
Only if we could throw in a draft pick.
We don't really want to throw in a draft pick.
Okay. You drive a hard bargain, too.
So are you going to throw in a draft pick?
And Randall.
Wait, we're taking Randall, DSJ, giving you our worst contracts, and you're going to throw in a first-round pick?
Yeah, but we want a second-rounder.
You want to throw in a second-rounder also?
No. Give me a second-rounder.
So you're going to trade your second-round pick for a first-round pick?
Yeah. 2 is better than 1.
Oh, okay.
I'm a finance guy. I know numbers. 2 is higher than 1.
So you think 2 second-round picks are twice as good as first-round picks? I like that. I don't know. It's just I'm so worried about this deadline. By the way, the Iowa caucuses are going on tonight.
Yeah, I know. I've been
not that it matters when we're doing a Knicks show. But apparently, the caucuses, you go into a room and you stand in the corner, you the candidate you want, which is the dumbest system possible. Yeah, it's probably better than whatever the Knicks are doing. The Knicks are trying to caucus the trade deadline. Who's winning in the caucus right now?
There is 0 reporting for Democrats so far. Apparently, they're counting Republicans first. So Trump is up 96.5% to 1.6%.
Did Donald Trump Jr. get lost? He's standing in the wrong place. Bobby writes, could a Knicks fan strike conceivably work? New York is not Memphis, Charlotte, or Salt Lake. There's no Celebrity Row in Sacramento. Tourists don't flock to OKC. Ain't nobody paying top dollar to the Bucks. They suck. See what I'm getting at here? If the Knicks stopped going to games, that'd be amazing.
It
That
would,
be
but the
absolutely
problem is
amazing.
they have so much tourist traffic. Well, I went to a game a couple weeks ago, and everyone around us had a foreign accent. Like people
Yeah,
they come in to visit New York and they go to a Knicks game. So I don't think if all the real fans struck, we would just still have tourists and business people and all that. So like,
could you imagine how amazing it would be if the Knicks fan, just the Knicks, like just anything, everyone, the tourists, everyone just stopped going to the games.
I mean,
They were like, we're not going till Dolan sells the team.
that would make it happen, but it's not going to happen. It's unfortunate because if this team was in any other city, it would happen, but unfortunately, it's in New York. So,
Paul writes, take the Melo Knicks teams, swap Melo with Ja Morant. How much better would we have been?
Oh yeah, I mean, if Melo had a really good point guard, that would have been really different.
No, he's saying if they get rid of Melo and just swap Melo with Ja Morant.
Oh, that also would have been a huge upgrade.
Bobby writes, also, what do you have to what do I have to do to get Jay to read one of my questions without mush mouthing his way through it?
Don't you read the question?
I read all the questions. I mean, people get confused. I don't know, Bobby. I suck at reading.
Do an email because I read the emails.
Yeah, Jay reads the emails. Jan writes, thoughts on trading Morris? I know he wants to stay long term, but this team isn't competing for anything for a couple of years at least. He may be a good piece to have, and almost no one wants to play for the Knicks. But shouldn't we have a better reason than he wants to stay and play for this dumpster fire for signing a player?
Yes, I think if you can get any assets for any players on this team, you should do that. Because the Knicks are so far away from competing, they need as many assets as humanly possible.
I mean, Jan points out what I like. So many, like, the fans are always like, well, he wants to be here. I want to play here. Sign me.
Right. So the thing is, yeah, we've said before that the Knicks haven't drafted well, but I feel like if they had 3 or 4 picks per draft, maybe they'll get one right.
I mean,
laws of probability, they're going to look into a good, pick if they have more picks.
They could trade Morris to the Clippers for the Clippers' first round pick. They could trade Dennis Smith for a second round pick. They could trade Bullock, maybe Wayne Ellington for a second round pick. I don't know. Like, they should be able to get a bunch more draft picks.
Well, if you throw in unwanted contracts, then you can get more picks.
Yeah, the Knicks should have a lot. OKC has 1 million draft picks, and they have a shot at the title this year. Why can they do this stuff and the Knicks can't do it?
This has been a fun show.
I mean, every team in the NBA. Is there any team? What teams are worse situated than the Knicks are right now?
Worse situated than the Knicks, I would say.
I guess on par or worse. It doesn't have to be actually worse.
Right.
I guess you just look at the Tankathon standings. You can probably figure it out.
I mean, do you want to say Minnesota? Because they're like capped out pretty much, and Wiggins is pretty bad, and
they're not winning games with Towns. They don't seem like a good position. You're right.
I mean, the Knicks have the same record now. Like in the
it is weird how they have the same record. They have Towns and Wiggins, and we have the exact same record. Minnesota's poorly run. You're right. Golden State is okay. Just looking at the rankings right now in Tankathon,
no,
Golden State's clearly better.
Yeah, clearly.
Cleveland, I'd argue Cleveland's worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe, or it's on par. I can't say worse, really.
I mean, they're not in a bad cap situation, and
they have Kevin Love.
Yeah.
The rumor is that the problem with Kevin Love is that everyone else in the league thinks that Cleveland needs to throw in an asset to get rid of Kevin Love, and Cleveland thinks they should be getting an asset for him.
Right.
But they could always trade him like in a year or two.
Yeah.
But also, Kevin Love apparently doesn't. Did you see the highlights from Kevin Love just throwing the game a couple weeks ago? He is the goddamn worst teammate ever.
So let's call that a draw.
Okay, a draw. I really like Kevin Love. The Cleveland should basically cut Kevin Love. Like, he's just you do not want a guy that's being paid that much to basically be throwing games while your young players are playing.
Right.
Okay,
On the
so
other
that's
hand,
strong.
they drafted 2-point guards who don't pass, so he's getting really pissed.
Atlanta?
No, Collins?
Yeah, I mean Trae Young. I mean they're in a much better situation, right?
Yeah, Collins and Young, yeah.
The rumor is they might be going after Clint Capella. I feel like they get Capella, like they're gonna start looking decent.
Yeah.
I
mean, they've actually looked much better since Collins came back.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks still have one more win, so I can't really call them a decent team yet.
Yeah, but Collins was out for 25 games, and they're 5-5 in their last 10.
I mean the Knicks can't do that. Charlotte.
Knicks might be better off than Charlotte right now.
Why?
Because name one player that you would want on Charlotte.
What do they got? They got that Devontae Graham's not. He's been okay. Yeah, I mean they really don't look very good either. They were winning games though. Like they have a crap roster, and they only have one more win than us. Okay, Miles Bridges, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I apparently Malik Monk. Would you, if you had to take one, would rather have Miles Bridges or Malik Monk?
I think Monk.
Okay.
I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't really seen much of either one.
So far you have Charlotte, Minnesota, and Cleveland on par with the Knicks. Detroit?
No, I'd rather Detroit situation.
Yeah, I mean they do have Drummond, or they can trade Drummond. That seems like a good guy to trade. They got Blake Griffin, who, if he's healthy, is still a pretty good player.
Bruce Brown looks decent. They got that other guy, Svi, who's been doing pretty good.
Wizards are in a weird place.
Yeah.
Apparently, Beal, according to the Zach Lowe podcast, was so apparently he's putting pressure on the team to try to win sooner. Like the team obviously is crap, basically. Besides him, on the other hand, you have a superstar in Beal. I mean, they're in a better position just because they have Beal.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for Wall, they'd be all right.
Yeah, I mean, that really hurt the cap.
Yeah.
Chicago, who currently right now is starting Cornette.
I know, but that's because Marc and Jay went down.
Yeah, I mean, Cornette, not like Cornette. I don't care that Cornette's not here. I mean, like Bobby Portis, as much as I don't like Bobby Portis, he's not worse than Cornette.
Right.
Chicago, better position or
it's close.
Close.
It's close.
Sacramento,
better.
Yeah, I don't think that's close. New Orleans obviously is much better. Phoenix,
better.
They're a lot better.
I think from then on,
everyone else, yeah. There's no like this discussion anymore.
Yeah.
By the way, Mo Bamba. You like Mo Bamba?
Yeah.
I'm saying the Knicks are like rumored to be going after Mo Bamba.
That's good. More players to take away minutes from Mitch.
Well, they don't have another center. Arguably the only center on the team is Mitch.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, okay.
The Knicks are a bad defensive rebounding team. They give their other teams way too many second chances.
I mean, I'm fine with it. It's fine.
You could use I don't know what the Knicks are doing.
Mo Bamba's the newest addition to my fantasy team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Has he been playing well lately?
He only plays like 14 minutes a game, but he still gets 2.5 blocks a game. So
pair him with Mitchell Robinson, and you'll have half a center. I don't know. Pairing Mitchell Robinson and Mo Bamba together sound like a pretty decent. Not knowing, I haven't seen that much of Bamba, but
yeah.
Okay, so what are your worst case scenarios for the trade deadline, Jay?
Worst case is they trade a few of the young guys for an overpaid win now guy that really doesn't move the chains.
I think my worst case is they do nothing.
We might have your worst case scenario coming up very soon.
I think they're going to do nothing. I think they're going to do jack shit at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to. This is what's going to happen. They're going to say, "Listen, we explore trades. The offers weren't out there. We tried our hardest. Now we're going to go all in for the vets the rest of the way."
Yeah, I think they're going to ask for too much and not get anything.
And then they're going to win 27 games this year. and they're going to say, we like where we're going. We had won 10 more games than last year. The team's in the right direction. We'll sign a couple other mediocre guys to overpaid contracts, and we'll be ready to roll for the year after.
Mhm.
Because you guys who keep coming to the games, our team is worth $1 trillion. It doesn't matter what we do on the court.
Correct. It's been a great show.
It's been great.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We are NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon.
Okay, let's go on a positive note, Jay. What's your best case scenario for the deadline?
They make a move that doesn't completely piss me off.
Okay, best case scenario, Morris is actually moved for a late first round pick. They trade Dennis Smith for a second round pick. I'll be happy.
Okay. That works.
Yeah.
We have a comedy podcast called The Brink of Sanity. You can check that out on iTunes, brinkofsanityshow.com. It's a little happier than this one.
And Jay, give out your address.
You have to buy a shirt to do that. All right. We'll be back maybe, I guess.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I really think that the entire purpose of the Knicks is just to end our show.
They're coming close. They really are.
I mean, I've not been more depressed. Like, how did we get through 2 17-win seasons and now I'm really broken?
I know. It does seem worse. It does. Anyway, we'll definitely be doing a post-trade deadline podcast, and then we'll reassess the situation.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye.